Hello, and welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. You can keep up with them at IFWTWA.org. We call them IFTWA. It's far easier to say than International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. I said it twice now. Should I say it a third time?
I think so.
Well, should I do it again? Okay, wait, Nancy, you take it out. You do it. Come on.
Oh, IFTWA, there.
International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association.
Yeah.
There it is. We do this. We have quite a few shows with them almost every week we have a show, but I love it when we get to chat with the destinations and travel writers. And today we have Nancy Mueller back on the show. Nancy is known as Wander Boomer because she likes to wander and she's a self-proclaimed boomer. So boom that. How are you, Nancy? Welcome back.
Good. Thank you. So good to see you.
Hey, I've got this. It's like a boom this and a boom that.
Yeah. I was looking back at our dates and we started talking together 2017. And
Really?
then I think we've had 2 years where we didn't, but since then.
Oh, is that those COVID things?
Yeah, there was COVID and I don't know, something slipped by 1 year, I guess, but here we are.
But you're here and we're loving it. And I want people to know they can keep up with you at wanderboomer.com and all the links are in the show notes. Today, we're going to talk about fall destinations and two destinations you've recently been to. One is Tofino, which is in Canada. That's in the British Columbia area, right?
Yes. Right. It's on the west side of Vancouver Island.
So not hard for you to get to because you're in Seattle.
Right. Well, part of a Tofino, the journey is half the fun. It isn't that challenging to get to, but it's a little, we flew from Vancouver Airport, but the drive is part of the fun of the experience. So I'm told. I haven't done it, but the destination, the roads, it depends on when you go, of course, but it can be, I think they call it August, however they pronounce it, but August tends to be the foggiest month. So there's a lot of mist, of course, that comes, along the coast, and it can be really socked in. But I think that adds to its magical, mystical charm. So
when did you go there last?
I was there in November. And I wanted to talk about it because I think it really is a year-round destination. And after I met with a friend of mine, I was telling her about this trip. Actually, just saw her last spring. And she said, "Oh, didn't I ever tell you that was our annual family getaway?" So for them, they loved the drive. They would drive up, the eastern side of Vancouver Island and take the road over and loved it. So
nice.
It's just a lovely, intimate location.
Well, I know the other place you want to talk about is Casper, Wyoming. So you're in the West today.
Yes.
This is the thing, the West.
Right.
So
West.
Casper, Wyoming, because I think when people think of Wyoming and the last time we drove through, it snowed on us. It was cold, but you really do have those expansive big blue skies and just the open country. It is beautiful. But Casper, Wyoming, I don't believe I've been there yet. I always use that word. But Wyoming, I think people always immediately go to Yellowstone. So tell us a little bit about where Casper is in accordance to that.
Yeah. So Casper is pretty much central Wyoming. I think the population now is close to 60,000. And
small.
It's an interesting place because there's so much history there. Well, first of all, let me back up. It was the second time I had been there, but I really don't remember the first time because I was in my corporate training days, and it was one of those where you fly in, you fly out, and I really remember nothing of that. So I was looking forward to having a return visit. This was the end of May or mid-May. And the first impression was the wide open spaces, that expansive landscape. And it's, I kept thinking of that song by the Dixie Chicks, wide open spaces. You can hum that while we're doing this, but absolutely beautiful. And then as you come into Casper, really seeing everything that the town has to offer. And there's so much. So it was a thrill to really be able to experience it.
So I love that you have like a coastal destination and then it's like out into prairie land almost.
Right.
What is prairie? Yeah, mountains and prairie.
There's a lot of that, and it's a mountain town too, because there's Casper Mountain, and there's lots of hiking trails around that. Historically, I think that was the aha for me. So much I didn't realize, but it really was the confluence of so many historic trails. So you had the Oregon Trail and the Mormons. You had immigrants going. Even the Pony Express was a stopping point. So I thought, wow,
That's right.
pretty interesting. And there's a wonderful National Historic Interpretive Trail Center. I think that's the entire name. But it's wonderful hands-on exhibits, and they take you through those different trail areas. So you can really explore what the history was like, and they have dioramas. You can even try on a buffalo skin, and they have a wagon set up where you get in and then it moves, so you would feel what it was like, in a covered wagon doing that. So that was pretty amazing. And we did have a chance. Unfortunately, the weather didn't do as well as we would like. There is oh gosh, I have his name here, Morris. I'm going to have to find it again, but he does a tour where you actually get in the covered wagon, and he will take you along parts of the Oregon Trail.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I mean, which would be wonderful. And if you go to
Wow.
the historic interpretive center that I was talking about, in their gift shop, you can even buy one of those, bonnets like from Little House on the
Oh, wow. My gosh, no way.
really get into this. But he was wonderful. He had so much information, but unfortunately, because of the mud, it was spring after all, he was afraid that it wouldn't be safe for the horses where we had to go. And of course, we were madly disappointed. So he agreed to do us kind of an abbreviated around a smaller stretch, near where the center was. So we still got to have that experience and just to him. He had actually covered the entire Oregon Trail with his daughter some years ago in a covered wagon.
Wow.
And just can't imagine how they survived that
Isn't there a game, the Oregon Trail game that people play?
There could be. I know there's
there's like a board game or something like there's a game, I think even a video game, even the Oregon Trail. And I saw people talk about it at one point, and I'm going, oh, that's really cool. And we've been to parts of it on our travels and the immigrant trails. And, it's to me amazing what people went through to get west. I mean, and they're not always on the wagon either. The wagon was normally carrying everything, and you may sleep in it, but really you were on the outside, women in those big clothes. I mean,
and trudging along. I think of trudging because they must have had to do that, along the side, and I'm sure that there were lots of, musical times around a campfire in the evenings and everything. But when you think of what it took, I mean, anytime you go through, I think, some of these histories, and you realize I really have nothing to complain about.
Right. I mean, and you think about mosquitoes in the summer, wind, rain, and then there were also, the skirmishes between here's us, these white explorers, and the Native American, the indigenous people, and it's like, hey, you're walking on someone's territory at this time,
That's right.
how are you going to handle that? And so that history is really a huge deal. So it sounds like you were kind of at one of those places of the crossroads of the Western expansion history, being in Casper.
Right. And you could, as I said, experience, there were other parts here. We went to, I'm just looking at my notes to remember, but Fort Casper. And it's interesting because it was originally spelled with an AR, but due to a typo, Casper is now with an ER. So it's always interesting to see how towns get their names and what happens along the ways. I was just looking to see if I could find, yes, it's Morris Carter. I want to make sure I got his name right because he was so great. He was the one who took us in the covered wagon.
Oh, wow. I think that is amazing that you can actually do that. And for kids to be able to have that feeling and understand, and then understand, like, here now we sit with cell phone technology and smart technology and AI. It's like, wow. And it's just not been that long.
Right.
How, the human progression, or if we want to call it progression, that's a whole other topic. But it's interesting with this, what you experience there and what people can experience. And you talk about the Pony Express. Now, something Nancy and I do 100%, and we are covering the Pony Express Trail and going to all the different stops. We've done Nevada, parts of California, and we went further, a little bit of Missouri too.
So you have to
which
go
is where
to
it started from we have to go to St. Joseph. Casper was snowing when we went through, otherwise we were going to do it. We were driving from actually up by Woodinville. You know where Woodinville is. It's not far from you.
It's east of Seattle.
Yeah, we were driving from there to Texas, and we did this route, and it kept changing because of the weather. And we thought we were going to go to Yellowstone. We thought we were going to go and do that whole part, but the weather said, no, you're not doing that. So we would have been there, but we did parts of Wyoming, and it was beautiful. Went through Colorado and did get to, but actually even there, I don't think we got to our spot. But that's the way life rolls. You just keep detouring, and that's why we travel full time, because it's a big circle. You can never get to what you want.
It's great that you were following that, that you made that a theme.
Well, it was such a short-lived thing, because all of a sudden here they set it up. Here's the Pony Express, and these riders would do from St. Joseph, change horses, and just haul all the way, I think within 10 days, from St. Joseph to Sacramento. I mean, it's amazing. And there are some of them that just, Bob Haslam is one of the top Pony Express riders that went through skirmishes, did things that were just insanely like, dude, you're a badass. We should just call him Badass Bob Haslam. People should look him up. The history is amazing. And then all of a sudden it's like the telegraph's here, you're out. And it's like, whoa. And so romantically, nostalgically, we want the Pony Express. We want that because it's this human thing that really spurred our mail system that said, through rain or snow and snow, shine, all of that. We have this, and we're still fighting for our mail.
Yeah. Let's not go there.
I won't. That's again another whole conversation. But you think about it, when you travel, when you go to a place like Casper and you witness this history and then actually get to experience some living history, right? Yeah. Doesn't it make you really ponder about what happens in the news, what happens in life now today, and make you realize where things stem from, and maybe we should travel more to have more understanding of things.
I always think that if we understand the roots, then, and you get to see these environments, then you want to protect it. You want that sense of history going forward. It's just a deeper sense of travel, rather than just skimming the surface. Even if you can't stay for longer than a few days, just having a stop in these museums. There's also the Tate Museum, which is, has, I think D is the name of the first Tyrannosaurus Rex that was found in Wyoming. And apparently there are digs that you can go on. So that was fascinating.
That's cool.
Only saw part of that, unfortunately, because of my itinerary. But the person that we had, the education director, was so passionate about teaching. And I just thought how lucky those kids are. It's right at Casper College, and to have this phenomenal museum right there where you can go in. So there's so many museums. There's, the reconstructed military fort, if you only wanted to focus on the history. And I mentioned some of the activities, but there's also fly fishing. We had a great day out on the North Platte River, and our guide was, we had several different boats. And I will confess to your audience that I was the last one to get my fish. And I just enjoyed the experience if I had not caught a fish, but they were, no, we're staying out here till you get your fish. They might have
no pressure.
And help me out, but I don't think so. No. Anyway, but I did get my one fish. So that was so fun. Half a day doing that. And then we also did kayaking through the Fremont Canyon, which was so beautiful. These rose colored cliffs, and that was absolutely magical. So we got to do so much. And of course, because this is IFWTWA, we talk about the food and drink. So there are lots of craft breweries and pubs and restaurants, so it was just a great experience.
I love that you went through Fremont Canyon. Now that also goes to one of our explorers, Fremont himself. He's listed everywhere. We've been following his footsteps too. I mean, he is part of the Western expansion. And if it wasn't for him and Kit Carson, like Thomas Jefferson would not. And then of course there's Lewis and Clark. So we can't leave them out.
We can't.
But Fremont really covered so much. And then we say, like, there's this history about his wife actually wrote all his reports for him because he just said, okay, this stuff went down. And she's like, no, you can't put it that way. And he goes, well, I'm not. So she did that. And she was wealthy. She had a wealthy dad. And so there's like all this mystery about Fremont. But he is all through Colorado, all through Wyoming. I mean, everywhere. California. I mean, he went everywhere. Stuff went down. He fought in the Mexican-American War. He did all kinds of things. So Fremont, that canyon, is named after him. And you can like him or hate him, but he was a huge part of our American history of the Western expansion of going out there. And it was Kit Carson who really taught him how to read the stars, how to navigate the water, do all those things. And so that canyon, that's going to have some history of them navigating it. And you've got to think about being the first, whitey people out there going, okay, let's do this, man, and see what happens. Kit Carson.
It's nice to have some guides who
exactly
territory, right? And do that. So, I know we're talking about fall destinations. I was there at a different time, but I did want to point out to your listeners some of the things coming up in the fall. Well, first of all, Casper Mountain, there are several hikes and there's waterfalls you can go. Beautiful around there, but obviously the fall foliage is going to be a big draw at this time of year, as we move forward. There's you can still do the fly fishing and the kayaking that I was mentioning.
Oh, cool.
And, any of the museums. There's also the Championship of Champions Indian Relay Races. And that is September 22nd through the 24th. So that sounds fun. I don't know all the particulars about it, but, and then we haven't even talked about downtown. You can take a walking tour of the history of the downtown area. And I'm sure there are people out there that like to do their fair share of shopping and helping out the local economy.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, there are lots of wonderful shops. Lou Talbert's, is very well known for cowboy gear and get your boots and hats and whatever else you want to do to fit in with the locals. And it's just, a kickback, fun, welcoming community is what I found when we were there.
I love that. And for shopping too, getting your shopping done other than something delivered by who is something unique and thoughtful, I really appreciate that. And where you can go to a downtown, I think we need to go and do more downtown stuff as travelers.
Yeah, especially downtown areas, whether it's small town or even some of the larger urban environments, just helping out some of the retail where we can. It doesn't even be much, but bringing in, and Casper does rely on the tourism, and a lot of people think, well, what's in Casper? I mean, obviously that's why I'm here to tell you about it.
Yeah.
So much to do. Both of these destinations have to do with outdoor recreation, year round again.
But year round, that's really important because a lot of people, like I said, okay, we didn't do what we were doing because we were actually going, it was winter when we were driving through. So, we were having to dodge things.
Right.
Most people aren't doing what we're doing, driving through, going, let's go through all these snow places and hope we don't get snowed on. That's a little, silly. But we knew that was our gig. But most people can fly in, right? They can
and then
fly
you can
in.
do winter sports, all kinds of sports. yards. So I think for anyone that, again, loves that vast landscape, and, I always opt for locations that are more remote. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily hard to get to, but there's just something about them that's appealing, maybe fewer people. And
and just being able to breathe easy. To me, not having a bunch of people around, there, and especially you want this big wide open space, but you don't want it to be like jam packed with people. And
right.
I think going to these smaller, more remote places, that you're having a positive footprint in tourism. And if you're going to be a traveler versus the tourist, you know what I mean? If you can, that's up your alley. And going into these communities, you're going to see something and experience something very authentic, which I think that I know you're Wonder Boomer, but from what we're seeing now, it doesn't matter your age bracket. You actually want to have something authentic and new to bring to the table.
Yes. And you
Even just for social media's sake, like I've been there of you,
Right. Right. And also to be able to participate in the local culture. What are things that you can do, not just to be an observer? There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but if you can actually experience just a little bit of what it feels like to be part of the community. Talking with locals when you go into the restaurant and asking for tips and advice, and you're going to get a whole different viewpoint.
Yeah.
So,
and finding out what they're eating, So let's just and we'll go to Tofino in a second. Might as well let's finish off with Casper here. But when you went to Casper, did you fly there from Seattle? Is that? I mean, you go aside from Nancy and I playing. Let's see if we can drive through a winter storm. That was dumb. But you can fly through. Yeah. That was. We were just on this other kind of crazy road trip mission. And I would do it again. So just saying, it was fun, but now I want to go to Casper. So
absolutely.
You can fly in, right?
Yes, you can fly in. And I'm trying to remember how I did it. I'm pretty sure I flew, did I fly Denver and then to Casper?
Oh, that sounds very Yeah. Because I know Casper, we were supposed to go through there. And so I think, and then we ended up driving through Denver. But I mean, I have snowfield photos that you wouldn't believe that are just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely beautiful because the wind makes these snow drifts on these fields, and it's incredible. Like I mean, we're just astounded. And we went through the Cascade Mountains and everything to get there, and did some detours, and we're just like, this is incredible. And we did see bison in not Yellowstone, in a state park in Wyoming somewhere, and I can't tell you what the name is, but like we've done it now twice on this route.
Fantastic.
But the snow drift, it wasn't even like thick snow. It was like this, just the patterns. I'm just going to tell people, don't be scared of the snow in the West. Be smart about it. Wear good clothes, right? Fly in. Don't be silly on highways and stuff, like, but the scenery is just this whole other beauty that is
landscape, I'm sure, in the snow. It's like sand sculptures, from the wind, only snow.
You could actually see where the wind had just done stuff it was, I can't even explain. Yeah, it's gorgeous. I wish I'd pulling up a photo now. So it is amazing. But but you can fly into Casper is the point. So easy to get to wherever you're flying in from, get there, even if you fly into Denver first. Go hang out in Denver for a little bit too. I mean, why not?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you want to spend time there. I think I was there for, what was it, 4 or 5 days? And you could spend longer. Really, the museums for me were just fascinating. But the dining,
oh yeah, do they have like local food that people should know about?
That's that's a very good question. I should know. I was looking at the places, the restaurants we went. Actually, one of the restaurants we really liked was a Thai kitchen, which you wouldn't expect necessarily.
See, but that's interesting.
But
Yeah,
that was good. There was the El Fogan Mexican restaurant.
Listen, I'm in the East right now, and I will do anything for some Mexican food, some really good Mexican food. And I know There's probably some out here, but like there's
Well,
something
of course,
about being in the West.
steakhouses, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's
one
Wyoming.
was a Fire Rock Steakhouse at the end of our visit. Wow. I mean, it's enormous, first of all, just the size of the parking lot, but just the wide selections, that you can get. And of course, there are things on the menu if you're vegetarian, I'm assuming, but you would go there because it is a steakhouse. And yeah, just places, for lunch and, just a really great spot and interesting drinks. I was mentioning the different pubs. We went to,
There are
there's,
breweries there.
yeah,
Like
oh
I
yeah.
was
It's
going to
a
think
whole,
they
in
have to have breweries.
fact, we just kind of added on because our itinerary was pretty full. We had a lot going on, but we did want to see a few pubs, and we went to the Backwards Distilling Company, the Drinkery. Both of those are
Ooh.
great places to go and kick back a little bit. So
What about where you stayed? What's the lodging like for people to
yes,
know
and
about?
so we were at a Hamptons Inn, and it was great. I mean, it was very comfortable. It was everything you need. I didn't put any pictures up of that, but yeah, very comfortable, for
Yeah,
the whole,
people know what to
yeah,
expect with the
what to
Hampton and
and yeah,
Mhm,
and I think we might have had breakfast one day at the hotel. I mean, usually that's
mhm.
included in your stay.
You get
But
to make a waffle.
yeah.
No, but that's cool. So, okay, so everyone, I do want people to know that there's a website they can go to, visitcasper.com, to learn more. All of the links that we're talking about, IFWTWA, also wanderboomer.com, visitcasper.com, are all in the show notes, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or listening on Spotify, all those places. All the links are in the show notes. Also, we want to go to Tofino now. Tofino, go to tourismtofino.com. I thought Tofino, when you first said, I want to talk about Tofino for the fall, I thought, oh, are we going to Italy? And then we're going to go to
Oh,
Wyoming. So I don't know why I just thought Tofino was Italian for some reason, but
well, yeah,
who knows?
it's interesting. It is definitely part of, they make a point of saying that we are on First Nation land, and I had to look up the
Okay.
pronunciation because I think it's so important. So forgive my pronunciation, but the best I could find was Kla'oquiot,
Hmm.
Kla'oquiot First Nation territory, and
Oh, I didn't know that. So it's
they
not necessarily British Columbia or Canada then.
Well, I mean, it is now, but I mean, that's right
Oh,
for
okay.
all of us where we were originally. But the importance of that understanding that they are on sacred ground, I think you see that throughout British Columbia, that they do
Okay.
pay homage to, the
The
ancestors,
first people. Yeah.
um, the indigenous population. And they actually even have a little brochure that they've put together. And I'm just going to read a couple parts of it because I think it's so beautiful. And it just says in the beginning, it shows a whale and says, enter with a good heart. And I think there's so much of Tofino that expresses that, and how you can really experience it like they do. And there's a First Nation prayer that's also in here. Basically, respect all life. Let me be careful in what I say and do while I'm in somebody else's territory, which I think is good advice for any of us traveling wherever we go. Remember
Mm-hmm.
that the cultural norms we might be used to are different. But
Mm-hmm.
to me, the experience was very much about connecting with the land, with the people, and really understanding the spirit of place. And it's small, it's right on the coast, so you've got a lot of drama with the dramatic waves, and it would be a great place, I think, to be during a storm. We stayed at the Pacific
Ooh,
Sands Resort, so it's right on the beach.
nice.
Absolutely fabulous for just walking down and just doing, beach combing, walking. And you were talking about the snow drifts and the different patterns they make. And I took so many pictures of patterns in the sand and the shells, and the surfers. It's a very popular surfing community.
Even in November.
You know,
Which
I'm
is
not
when
sure the exact times when they're doing it all. So we were there again in May. I would imagine,
okay. I
you
thought
know,
it was
you know, it depends on what's going on with the waves. And, you know, I'm not a surfer, so I can't say,
yeah.
you know, exactly. But just the pictures of the surfers with their boards and the mist rising, you know, from the water on, you know, the waves rushing the shore and the wind. It's just a very magical
Yeah,
place.
I thought you were there in November. So I'm sorry. No.
No,
So
I was there in
oh,
November.
okay. So it was
Gorgeous. I mean, you
to
never know, right? I mean, with the
yeah.
weather, or it's all unpredictable, but it was
Really?
absolutely gorgeous the whole time. I
But
don't know. Did
but
we have rain? We had real dense fog when we first arrived. We weren't sure our
mm,
flight was going to get in, but we did, no problem. And it was absolutely gorgeous. So
oh,
so the location was spectacular. And you know, there are bikes you can rent. You can also have a massage. They partner with an outfit, I think it was called By the Sea Massage, and have a massage. They have saunas, and I wanted to get this right. This was, you know, I think of it, and that's why I was there. It was for a wellness getaway.
oh, nice. Well, that's perfect for the end of the year. Kind
It
of
was
like don't
absolutely
wait until January. Get it going now.
get it going
Because your
before, you
because
know.
it's change of season
Yeah.
happens and your body does a shift too. So it's
Oh,
a good time to get rid of the stuff.
yeah, transition, right? And
Yeah.
start to go more internal. I think of it as the perfect place for that. You know, I'm sure I could write the great American novel if I just stayed in my room and looked out at the waves crashing on the beach. I mean, to do that. But, you know, so there's that. And I wanted to just, there was another, oh, well, and they have Surf Sister. So if you want to have a surf lesson, you can do that. We were actually set up for that. I personally would not be doing the surf lesson. It's just not my thing, but it was set up, and I can't remember exactly why it didn't materialize for the other people I was with, but it is available. And they have
That's
a
cool.
grill there too that delivers, you know, we had breakfast delivered to us in the morning. We ate there for lunch. So right there on the beach. And there's another wonderful, it was, let me see here. I just wanted to find it because they actually, you could do, which I didn't do, was kind of a polar plunge, you know, into the ocean. But they have Turf City saunas, and they're wood-fired saunas. And
Ooh.
so that was great. It was right, you know, at a little section of the resort, and they partnered with them so we could go in these cedar saunas and, you know, just really enjoy that. And then there were a few brave hearts that went from there running into the ocean, and they tell you, you know, how to do it. You have to really immerse yourself and stay in it for a few seconds, I mean, at least, and then come out and you're a new person. And I said, I will interview you on what the experience is like. I couldn't see myself.
Well, there's a lot of people doing that now where
I
they're
know.
building saunas at their house,
Yeah,
and people jumping into those ice baths and I've seen them and I'm like, dude, no, there's
I
no
will do
way.
it. Yeah, I mean, I will do it in like a hot spring, you know, with it's like the finish, you know, where you have the cold and the hot, and I will do that. But there was something about how far is it from the cedar sauna to the ocean?
Oh, you didn't want the wind in between.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't want in between, but believe me, the ones who did it absolutely loved it. And
Well, power to anybody doing any kind of polar plunge because I think it's good, it's invigorating for your body, but I think they're going to have to give me a toddy afterwards, which would
yeah,
totally negate everything. I'd
well, you
need to have
probably
a glass of, I'd have to have like a cool cocktail in the sauna, a glass of
could.
wine in between, and then a toddy afterwards, which means none of it will work for my body in a healthy way. So that doesn't work.
Well,
No,
The host was wonderful. They were such advocates for doing it. And I mean,
But so many people are doing it. I mean, it really is a beneficial thing. Just
yeah,
because you and I want to be a little bit on the baby side of it
yeah.
doesn't mean, you know. But I think you know what? I think I would probably go for it just
I think I would
because,
do it next time now. I would.
the more I'm thinking of it, I'm like, you know what? What have you got to lose?
Right.
I
I mean,
mean,
you only do dip and then you come right out. I think I could handle it. I should have
I
done it.
did try to do a polar plunge off a pier without it being an event and almost got arrested.
Oh,
So I was close. I
that's
was this
another story.
close. And then a policeman said, "What are you doing?" I was like,
Oh,
oh, sorry, I didn't know we weren't legally allowed to jump off a pier. So don't
there you
do
go.
that.
Yeah, don't do that. No, this would have been a
Don't
lot
do that.
easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know we were that. Anyway, apparently you can't just do that. I
Yeah.
learned. I didn't know that. I was new in this country this
Yes.
time. I
Ah,
didn't know. And
well,
in other places you can do whatever, but apparently not here.
yeah. Well, I mean, it
That
really,
was my attempt.
yes. Okay. Well, next time. So when you go to Tofino, you'll have to do it,
I
right?
just love the name Tofino too. It just feels like you're going somewhere Mediterranean, but it's completely not the Mediterranean.
Completely,
But it does,
definitely
but
Pacific
the be
Northwest. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
but I love that. The Pacific Northwest. I really want to touch on this because you're in Seattle. I know we've talked about it before on the shows, but having been there was 2 years ago, I think we were. I couldn't believe like you just need to dress for it,
You
but
do.
get outside,
Absolutely.
embrace it. You
Yeah.
need to
And
embrace it. I mean, I couldn't believe we could see the ocean, this deep, dark blue ocean right at your feet, like right there. It's snow-capped mountains, and people are walking around with their dogs, and they're just doing this as normal. And we're going, what? But then we got out, well, no, just put the other jacket on. We don't have the right clothes, but just put the other jacket on. Put the blanket, who cares?
yeah.
I have
And then
to tell you that
people could, yeah.
it is invigorating. You
Mhm.
feel incredibly alive on the Pacific Northwest. There's this, I don't know, just this little
Yeah.
chill goes through you, but it reminds you that you are alive and to embrace life in a positive way. And I love that the Pacific Northwest, everywhere we went, I'm going to say and generalizing on it, but really, I can't think of one place that didn't. The environment is key, that we take care of nature. And I think out of everywhere, and we travel full time across the country, we document parks, public lands, and do all that stuff and immerse ourselves in communities as we pet sit and do all this stuff. I'm going to say the Pacific Northwest is leading in our books in regards to really taking big steps and working hard to, I mean, California is going to be included in that too. Just really taking care of their space,
Yeah.
you know?
It is the environment. I'm from upstate New York originally, and I
Mm,
came out to Seattle to go to graduate school. And, my first inkling was, why have people been hiding this from me? I mean, it was so beautiful. I mean, when I first arrived, it was raining. Okay. But after a week, and I remember seeing Mount Rainier for the first time, and
uh,
then Canada, in Canada, it's so vast. There's so much to explore. And I love the, remote regions to get to, in addition to the wonderful cities like Vancouver, of course, Victoria. But to get on the coast and really experience the drama of it, that wildscape, the wildlife, the whales, the sea otters, the all the eagles. I remember this was a year ago, and there was another cruise line that come in. It was a small cruise line docked in a place in Northwest Seattle, and I hadn't seen them before. But there was a deckhand on board, and he goes, wow, we were just coming up, and I saw an eagle and I saw a whale, and I thought, I just smiled, remembering the first time I had that experience too. And
exactly.
so if you're from and live in the Northwest, you know how vital it is. You know how vital the
When
orca
you hear the bald eagles, and they
and the
do that and
bald.
they fly, oh my God, they fly over you. That screech is just like,
Yeah. And so Tofino embodies so much of the Northwest. It's just a beautiful, and I was going to say, you know, and the dining, there's Wolf in the Fog, which is a very popular place. And the Shelter was another place that was across the street. Unfortunately, after we went and experienced it, they had a fire.
Oh no.
So the that entire building burned for the shelter, but they were
Oh.
able to contain it so it didn't spread to nearby businesses. And because they are such a tight-knit community, within 3 months, they were able to move to a new location, which is now on the waterfront. And I haven't been to that one, so I want to go
Oh, you
back.
want to go back? Yeah,
Now,
just to
next
see.
time I'll do the polar plunge too. So, you know, it'll all
New
be.
food. Okay, now is the food more seafood based over
Yeah,
there?
it's going to be seafood, you know, what they call boat to table. We went out
Mm-hmm.
one day also with the host and I just want to make sure I'm getting people's names right. But they do, let me see here. It's Nas Tofino. And so again, indigenous based ownership
Okay.
and using kelp and seaweed, you know, and creating
Oh
really
wow.
wonderful products. So they have a little store, but we went out in on a boat trip for a day and also just experienced what that was like, you know, and seeing how you can use kelp and create these really tasty foods, whether you're using it for spices. And so that was interesting. And we also did a history walk. We had an elder who was very instrumental in preventing logging of the area. And
Oh, cool.
so to be able to talk with him, we saw canoe carvers along the way, and to be able to just hear their stories. And you know, I think some people are familiar with the really unfortunate tragic history of taking people away to these institutional schools, and he had that experience. And
Oh,
just to come out of that and be as kind and good-hearted and strong, you know, so resilient in the protection of the environment is so important.
that's a
So
special thing when you can experience that as a traveler to have that firsthand versus the rah 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 on the news.
right, right. And just the
Hmm.
importance of maintaining language, you know,
Hmm.
that it could rapidly become extinct, and how they are helping, you know, in teaching that and going forward. So there's a lot of work to be done, but it's a wonderful place that where it's actually happening. So
Awesome. I want to go. I want to
yeah,
go to Tofino.
and I want to go
I
back
mean,
tomorrow, and I want to go back to Casper, and I want to go. That's the
I
problem.
know. Isn't
Like,
that's it. We just keep,
yeah,
that's what I say. You just keep going circles, but you've got two amazing places you've brought to the table for people to look at coming this fall. And if you can't go fall, look at winter, spring, summer. They're
absolutely.
year-round destinations. That's the thing I think is so great. And I love it you brought up British Columbia because the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association, said it 4 times now. Um, I should get extra brownie points. But their conference, their annual
Yes,
conference is in October, and it's
that's
going,
right.
on the Princess, the Discovery Princess going from Vancouver to LA. So I think that's really cool. So are you
Yeah.
going? Are you able to
You know,
go
I'm
or?
not able to go because of a conflict in dates,
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately. I was on another Holland America cruise up to Alaska this summer, but I won't be able to be on that one. So I'll have to hear from my buddies on all the
Yeah.
different programs and everything they saw and experienced.
So you've been a member for a few years now, huh?
Oh
Now that
gosh,
I think of it. Yeah.
well, we started, you and I,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
2017. So let me think about this. I started travel writing in 2010. So
Okay.
it would have been close after that, I think 2011 or 12.
Yeah. Would you say people should join if they're a member, they're a writer or getting started?
Yeah, of course. I mean, first of all,
Yeah.
you get to hang out with people who are, you know, people like you who love to
Mhm.
travel, love food, wine, and all the stories that go with those. I think we're storytellers. We've
Yeah.
all come from different backgrounds. I like to think, very welcoming and share information. It's a very supportive community. And
Very cool.
yeah, and there are different contests you can enter for photography and writing.
Cool.
And, we do webinars. And so you learn about locations, even if you aren't able to go to a particular destination at a certain time. So we've been all over doing that. And yeah, we just had a refresh of the Food, Wine, Travel magazine. So that just went live. And so if you're a member,
Cool.
you can contribute to that. It's another great way to be visible
It's an
and
awesome
share
magazine.
your
Yeah.
stories. So yeah, why wouldn't you be a member?
Yeah. I think it's cool. I think it's great that the travel writers support each other. And
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things I've noticed from the conversations over the years, is the support. And like I always say on every show, IFTWA stood up during the pandemic and said, no, we're not closing up. We're going to do webinars. We're going to connect everyone and get things moving. And it's time to study and learn.
It's a
And
partnership. We partner with the destination.
mhm,
I think of it as happy writing because we want to have people go to the destination. So many of
yeah.
these communities really depend on tourism. We
Mhm,
saw that in Alaska. That
mhm.
depends on the cruise ships. So when we had COVID, the pandemic, that really hurt big time. Um, so whatever we can do as writers, photographers, videographers, whatever we can do to really highlight those destinations and ask questions and get more information, I think we're all part of that. We're all on the same.
Mhm. And it helps everyone. It helps an entire community down to kids going to school and helping pay
Right.
for, having a gas station, all kinds of things. It really does. So thank you. It has been such a pleasure having you back on the show. Everyone,
Thank
Nancy Mueller
you.
again. Go to her website. It is wanderboomer.com and watch for her stories on Casper, Wyoming, and also watch for her stories on Tofino and all her other adventures. She's also on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, oh, the new Threads, and LinkedIn under Nancy Mueller, and then Threads, Facebook, and Instagram under Wander Boomer. So, and if you're going to join IFTWA, you want to learn more about it, go to IFWTWA.org. We are here every day on Big Blend Radio. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Thanks so much, Nancy.
Lisa, I really appreciated it. Thank you. Take care.